So this is Trump country.
We are winning.
Ed Galrein has defeated incumbent Thomas Massie after Donald Trump endorsed Galrein.
Yeah, Thomas Massie's a terrible congressman. He's been a terrible congressman from day one.
How you're feeling right now? We're going into the final hours here, getting ready for tomorrow.
I'm feeling good.
Thomas Massie just lost his election.
Dealing with him is just horrible. I don't think he's a Republican. I think he's actually a Democrat.
If I lose on May 19th, I am not doing any more government ever.
This is where we are. A race has been called for Ed Galrein, a newcomer to the political scene.
He votes against us all the time. He voted against the border wall. He voted against men playing in women's sports.
Because the bottom line is this: Donald Trump is the general of the Republican Party.
The end of an era. It looks like Thomas Massie has lost his race.
Ladies and gentlemen, one of the most prominent members of the woke right, Thomas Massie, has been defeated. This guy lost to Ed Galrein. This was a guy who only joined the race, I believe, like just a few months ago.
So I met with the president on 17 October, Sean, and here's what he said. He said, Ed, when I brought up President Reagan and what a fan we were of him, he said, Ed, I don't have 2 consecutive terms like President Reagan. I've only got one to enact the agenda the American people have overwhelmingly asked me to enact. Every week counts, every day counts, every hour counts, every vote in the Senate and the House counts. Ed, you need to serve again. You need to serve your district, your nation, and your party. And then I decided to run. I was only in this race really for about 15 weeks when you pull the holidays out. It was a David versus Goliath. I was the underdog. I want to thank the president. I want to thank the conservative Republicans from this district and my supporters and team, because it sends a message that we, the people, are going to stand up. Thank you, Sean.
Right. He only had a couple months to run against Massie, but people still overwhelmingly voted for him because he had Trump's complete and total endorsement. But not just for that reason. No. It was also because Massie here was straight up anti-Trump. So for those of you guys who don't really know what was truly going on here, this guy was so anti-Trump, he literally called the Trump administration the Epstein administration.
He's still in with the Epstein class. This is the Epstein administration, and they're attacking me for trying to get these files released.
And again, I'm going to say President Trump has not been accused of anything criminal here. Thank you very much.
People like Massie were more obsessed with Jeffrey Epstein, a guy who's been dead for years, and being anti-Israel, that he forgot the core mission, right? Scott Jennings of CNN called him out because Massie had the audacity in his concession speech to even bring up his opponent being too busy in Tel Aviv to take his concessions call.
I would have come out sooner, but I had to call my opponent and concede, and it took a while to find Ed Galrein in Tel Aviv.
It was the most expensive House primary in U.S. history, and the president made it a priority to get rid of Thomas Massie, and he succeeded because Massie had, frankly, become an opponent of the president inside of the party, and you just can't do that. You know, Massie used to, reliably vote with the Republicans. That number had been falling over time. This is one of the most conservative districts in the country. It's certainly a conservative area of Kentucky. They gave Donald Trump a massive victory in 2024. And they expect the Republican congressman who represents them to be part of the team. The 2 big issues in the race that were in most of the advertising had to do with tax cuts and immigration. And Massie was against Trump on both of his big border security and tax cut bills. And so they said, look, we can get a Republican congressman that'll be part of the team and support the president. That campaign worked. I just want to also add one other thing. Thomas Massie tonight in his concession speech said something despicable, anti-Semitic, nasty, gutter politics, right at the end. What a way to go out. He said, I would have called Ed Galrein, but I had to find him in Tel Aviv. There was an undercurrent of anti-Semitism in this race on the Massie side. There's been an undercurrent of it in his career, unfortunately, and it really came out in an ugly way tonight. And I think it needs to be stated, acknowledged, and condemned. Because it was pretty despicable.
Now, when you have Democrats out here just saying that Massie's the greatest guy ever, and Massie's a dear friend of mine, you're going to wind up in trouble. Like, you got Ro Khanna over here crashing out that his friend managed to lose the election.
My good friend Thomas Massie lost tonight. I'm angered by the smears on his character. He lost because he had the guts to take on the Epstein class. He lost because he had the guts to stand up against the war in Iran. He worked with me to pass the most consequential and popular piece of bipartisan legislation in recent history in the Epstein Transparency Act. Many young voters under 50 voted for him. He was winning them by over 30 points. And today I say you may not have a home in the Trump coalition, but there is a new generation of populist Democrats, and we welcome you.
Ro Khanna is a radical left extremist type of Democrat. This isn't a guy who you want backing you if you're an extreme right-wing Republican who's the most conservative member of Congress. Nobody wants to hear that. People like Ro Khanna and many others love Massie because he stifles the Trump agenda. The One Big Beautiful Bill, which had tax cuts in it. Massie didn't want them because he said it's going to increase the deficit. We need to collect more taxes, according to Massie, which doesn't make sense because Trump's logic is you cut taxes and eventually as business continues to grow and boom, you inevitably collect more taxes in the end anyway because there's so much business, right? So it's a different strategy that Massie wanted. He just wanted to just blanket, just collect the taxes off rip. Don't worry about increasing business revenues and therefore increasing taxes on the back end, front end, whatever you want to consider it. He doesn't want to do it that way. Okay, cool. That's one disagreement. But when it's every single time, when it's the border, Massie didn't want to. He wanted to secure the border, but he disagreed with the amount that Trump wanted to secure it. So border wall funding, Massie, according to any research I can do, never supported any type of border wall funding. Right? He supported having one, but he didn't support ever passing any funding to actually build it, which is stupid. He went against Trump's emergency declaration where he wanted to, consider it a national emergency and use emergency powers to do it. Massie, the only one sole Republican who voted against it, right? Like you name it, Massie is against it. He didn't want to support funding in DHS. He voted with the Democrats to keep the government shut down. This guy is not a guy who you want on your team. If we got friends like Massie, who needs enemies? This isn't about Trump and Epstein and Israel and all this stuff. It's about this guy associating himself with people like Candace Owens, who said, well, if you vote for Ed Galbraith, it's a vote for Epstein. These people are obsessed. These people are weirdos. American people care about the economy and keeping illegal immigration down. Things like healthcare, stuff like that. They don't care about, why do these people just want to talk about Epstein and Israel all the time?
By the way, today is the 6-month anniversary of the Epstein Files Transparency Act. We've taken out 24 CEOs, an ambassador, a prince, a prime minister, a minister of culture. And that was just 6 months. I got 7 months left in Congress.
He is an absolute fraud. Fraud. I tried multiple times to get this guy to come over to give him a briefing on a case he kept bloviating about on Twitter, causing a serious problem, by the way. And I thought he believed in due process. He's supposedly a libertarian, wants to try a case on X. And he didn't do it. I was there from March until January of this year. You know how many times he came over to visit and ask about these cases despite multiple offers, cases he kept bloviating about, where we could have actually told him? 0. And there's nothing he's going to tell you. All of his BS responses, his fake community notes, it's all a distraction from the fact that he doesn't want to admit that he was offered a detailed briefing within certain parameters on these matters he's bloviating about on X in order to attack President Trump and others and due process. Could have cleared it up for him right away, and he just didn't want to do it.
This Tom Massie guy, who later will be a really good friend, okay, right now is unacceptable. Make sure you defeat him and put in an Israeli instead. Because Ed Galbraith, I don't care where he was born or where he lives, has pledged to serve Israel unconditionally.
Yeah, he's the proxy candidate for Israel. Like, he's Israel's proxy.
AIPAC donated. Yeah, what else is new? So do like a bunch of other organizations, a bunch of other countries find all these roundabout ways to donate, but you don't see them complaining about them.
When you see what's happening, right? Like, because I'm grateful now that the Iranian money, that stuff's starting to come out. When you look at, I went through.
You're talking about, just so we're clear, so that's not taken out of context. When you say Iranian money coming out, you're referring to
Thomas, the money that Thomas is taking
from Iranians,
Iranian Americans, and
Iranian donors.
Yeah, I mean, when you start
specifically an individual, a billionaire out of California, who is named Joe Kiani, correct?
Yeah.
They don't want to complain about AIPAC because they're weirdos. They're anti-Semitic a-holes. When you got people like Candace Owens, Marjorie Taylor Greene over here melting down, and we all know what time she's on. You got Alex Jones over here talking about the fix is in.
Well, I predicted today on air at 11 a.m. that Massie would probably lose. And it didn't matter if the scientific polls basically showed he was a few points ahead. When I saw Hegseth there yesterday and how confident he was, and the Pentagon openly campaigning against an American citizen in an office, campaigning against the power of the purse, against Congress, unprecedented in U.S. history in 250 years. And I saw the confidence of Hegseth on stage with Massie's Israel-funded opponent. So it doesn't matter, even a lot of polls, he's 10 points ahead. It doesn't matter if he's 20 points ahead in Bali Market. It doesn't matter. I could see the confidence the fix was in. They had a lot of ways to get that done. I don't believe that Massie's opponent actually won the election.
So now the election's rigged. The election's rigged. They were too confident that the anti-MAGA person was going to win, so the fix was in. Guys, these people are so stupid. These people are just being totally and utterly ridiculous. Massie deserved to get his ass whooped because he was pissing everybody off. J.D. Vance broke this down perfectly.
Being independent, having your own opinions is one thing. Voting against the party on every single issue, you're eventually going to make too many enemies. And that is the problem that Thomas has had. It's not one issue. It's not 3 or 4 issues. It's that every time that we've needed Thomas for a vote, he has been completely unwilling to provide it. That is why the President of the United States has trained his ire on Thomas Massie. It's because we can never count on him for some of the most difficult votes. I wish that weren't the case. I say that as somebody who's known Thomas well before I got into politics, but politics is politics. And when you always vote against the party, you can't expect the party to actually back you.
He voted against transgender for everybody, the mutilization of your children. He voted against, again, open borders. We have the best border we've ever had right now. Nobody's coming in. Yeah.
I'm going to put this real simple, guys. When you have somebody who claims to be one thing, Massie is an example of almost like a Democrat in the way he functions, where he says he wants to support a bunch of stuff, but fails to actually support any of the things that he claims to support. Saying that you support secure borders and, support a strong economy, but going against tariffs, going against tax cuts, going against DHS funding and border wall funding, all of these different things, but then only supporting things like cutting funding to Israel and more Epstein file releases. Nobody cares about you. Okay, you're ineffective. You're doing things that are not going to support the United States. Americans clearly know that money is going to Israel, voted for Trump anyway. They know that how Massie feels about it, voted for Gowrain anyway. Didn't vote for Massie. Okay, all of this anti-Israel, anti-Semitic stuff is not working. People don't trust the terrorists. Okay, they don't trust the terrorists. They don't care. Send the money to Israel. It is what it is. People didn't want money going to Ukraine. Israel was never the thing except for these anti-Semitic weirdos. They're the ones who wanted to keep sending money really to Ukraine, but not send it to Israel because these people just have some sort of bone to pick with Israel. It's like, where did Israel touch you when you were younger? Like, what is wrong with these people, guys? I mean, I know this is biblical, but this is just weird stuff. It's like some weird spiritual battle where they just cannot get this Israel hate boner down. Like, just put it down, just tuck it in, do something. What's wrong with these people, man? Somebody let me know in the comments. I'm not saying that Israel is perfect. I'm not saying that they don't have influence, but to imply that like everything is just centered around Israel is completely farcical. Like you're in league with Cenk Uygur, Candace Owens, Alex Jones, Marjorie Taylor Greene. You're like basically in league with a bunch of losers. On the Democrat side, Ro Khanna? Guys, get this guy out of my face. Let me know what you guys think. Drop a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. He deserved to get his ass beat. I'm out. Shout out to my members, patrons, and fellow anomalies, Cyber Noodle, 655, The Great, Bella Scott, Carpentier John, and Pinecone 6. I appreciate you guys every single day.
The guy is a fraud. Anyone telling you otherwise, including him, is lying. He did not want to know. He preferred to be dumb so he could plead ignorance on X and attack President Trump.